Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of How the Hell Did I Get Here with Meg and Rachel. Thanks for joining us, all you listeners, and thanks, Mitch, for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'll read Mitch's bio, and then we'll plague him with questions about his life experiences. Mitch, and for anybody who is from the Black Hills area, and I promise you've been saying his last name wrong
this
whole time. So we'll tell you how to say it right. Mitch Nachtigall, also known as Mitch Nachtigall,
or Natchtigall, or any of the other ways that we've said it wrong.
Yeah, so that's not his name.
So Night-en-gale, I got that.
Night-en-gale.
I can say that.
Yeah. Mitch lives in Rapid City with his wife, Tracy, and 2 daughters. Mitch is the Director of Innovation and Entrepreneurship for Elevate Rapid City and Director of the Elevate Rapid City Technology Startup Incubator. He currently serves as a traditional South Dakota National Guard soldier in the role of Battalion Executive Officer for the 109th Engineer Battalion and is the Community Ambassador for Bunker Labs Rapid City. Holy buckets. It's not like you're busy or anything.
Wow, yeah, with 2 babies.
Yeah, crazy. Well, Mitch, tell us a little bit about your story and your moment or series of moments that led up to a how in the hell did I get here point in your career.
Yeah, can do. Thanks again for having me. So really the last 2 to 5 years have been that for me for sure. So personally, I got married to my beautiful wife, Tracy, in April of 2016. So we are just 5 years along now. And in that time, we now have a almost 3-year-old and an almost 1-year-old. So on the personal side, 6-ish years ago, I was a single guy working full-time for the National Guard. And now here I am today, not those things. So 2 years ago, around that time, I suppose, I was working full-time for the National Guard here in Rapid City and went to have coffee with the director of the incubator in town, and not about anything other than I was volunteering with a group and we were looking for a place to hold small seminars. And so we had a great conversation, and towards the end, and I'd taken my lunch break in uniform and went over, and we talked a little bit about where I came from, and so I'm a graduate of the School of Mines, and then obviously in the military. And towards the end, she said, keep your eyes open. I'm looking for somebody like you, that's got an engineer background or a technology background, and also understands the military a little bit. I'm getting close to retiring and moving to Southeast and looking to train my successor. And so I go out and I start my pickup, and I sit there and I go, am I looking for a job? I said, I don't think I'm looking for a job. And but I go home, and that night I say that exact thing to my wife, and she said, well, you've been kind of stressed out, at work, I don't know. And so I thought about it, and I was 10 years active National Guard, and so now I'm just over 20, but or 20 on the reserve side. But so, at 20 years active is kind of the sweet spot where you get your full active duty retirement and all that, And I'd only kind of gotten into a permanent role a few years before that. And so, once you get your permanent role in the Guard, you're set, and, you're just going to do that for the rest of your 20-year active career, and full retirement, full benefits, all those things. And people claw their way to get into those positions, and I had as well. And thought about it for a while, and eventually said, you know what? Despite all the clawing I did, I think I want to do this instead. And so a few months later, signed, I should say a few weeks later, signed, and then gave my notice to the National Guard, and did a pretty long transition period. But then by the spring of that coming year, I was fully out of the full-time Guard and into my role as client manager within the incubator. And then when my predecessor took her new role, then I moved into that position. And so there really was a couple moments starting within that parking lot where I said, how the hell did I get here? today now couldn't be happier with the role I've got. Great pace, great flexibility, all of those things, and it's really worked out well for me. And so that's my story to this point, and it gets better every day.
And now, don't you have a new building or something too, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So kind of in that process of taking over was our building had just started to get designed. And then when I was really in the middle of the role, then took on overseeing construction of a $14 million building here downtown next to the post office. Probably the only opportunity I'm ever going to get to oversee that. And so a big learning curve, and very interesting to go through that process, and yeah, really exciting. We just moved in last Tuesday, actually. So this is brand new. So I guess late March, I guess, depending on when people listen to a podcast, I suppose. So.
Yeah, I love it. So much change for a guy who is, according to our Helix assessment, a guy that prefers structure. So how have you, as a stabilizer in our system, that tells me that you like some social and structural stability in your day-to-day. And so how have you balanced all of this new stuff going on in your life with that sort of that structure that is sort of innate to who you are? I mean, I love that you're engineering too, because that tells, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly where I scored, but I assume I was pretty far on the end of the spectrum. I'm an engineer by civilian degree, 20 years military. And so, yeah, structure is kind of how I live my life in a lot of ways. Outside of the 3-year-old and 1-year-old, you got to kind of give that up.
That's why they're so cute.
Exactly.
So put up with the chaos.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been good and bad about leaving the full-time military. A lot of structure, a lot of hierarchy there, and so I think one of my strengths in the civilian world is bringing some more process and some things like that. But there's definitely a lot that is different, right? And it's more ambiguous, and there's more. I don't know. I think there's a little more posturing or politics or backroom kind of stuff, and you. Like in the military, you walk in and you kind of know who's in charge, right? I mean, you just look at their collar or their chest, right? And where, the guy at the podium isn't always the one in charge, depending on a mixed group of people, and you kind of have to figure out the players and the game and all of that. And so I've struggled a little bit with the game, I guess, on the civilian side, because there's more to play to that, and I try to stay above board on most of that, I guess, because it can get greasy in the trenches, I think. So.
Mm-hmm. So what is the next? I mean, you've had all this change, the new building you're just moving into, kind of hopefully, well, probably not getting out of diapers yet. You're probably in diapers for another year or so. But what's the next thing? How are you, what's the next exciting thing? Do you have other things kind of lined up, or are things going to kind of start settling out? Or
the next exciting thing is nothing for me.
That's what I wonder. Is the exciting thing that, well, you can now see grandmas and family, or what is the next big exciting thing?
I think my wife and I have had this discussion a little bit, and partly because of COVID and then the age of our kids and things like that. We think ourselves. We're thankful, I guess, for some things in that. We didn't really miss a lot, right? I mean, we were going to be home every night with our kids anyway, so it wasn't like we were going to be out clubbing anyway, during all this. But we've been pretty set on just having 2 kids. We're going to be done at 2 kids, and I think what I've done a lot in my life that we're going to hopefully stop doing is kind of wishing my life away. They'll say something like, "Oh, I wish our kids were just a little older because we could go to Yosemite or something like that," right? And now it's kind of like, well, we're done having kids, and so once they're old enough, we gotta start doing it, right? And so I think that's what I'm looking forward to is just a little more, at least where the little one's able to walk a little bit and things like that. We're excited to get out on the road, and yeah, everybody's excited to get back to normal as well. On that regard, and just kind of living life and looking forward to the new steps as opposed to, having another kid and kind of recycling some of your knowledge, I guess, and doing it again, right? So,
At least you got to use it twice. I only have one kid, and so I guess I'll use all my knowledge on other people's children. So that works pretty good for me.
There you go. Yeah.
it turns out it isn't all that helpful though, because one is different from the next, and so you think you've got some things figured out, and I don't know.
Yeah, they're all different. That's for sure. Mine are incredibly different, painfully different, I would say.
Yeah, I can't wait for number 3. Figure that out.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. All right. Well, Mitch, it was so good to get to visit with you. Thank you for your time. Best of luck on all your future endeavors and structuring the hell out of them, making sure that all of us civilians sort of fall into place and try to do our best to do our part. That we struggle with that. That is a reality. So thank you for your time. It was wonderful to have you on the show.
Yes, thank you both so much. It was great.
Yeah. And for all you listeners, keep listening. Until next time, lead powerfully.
Change the world.